morning, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for coming today. Today's kind of a busy day. We not only have this, but we've got the meet and greet later on this afternoon. And for those of you interested, there's the King's birthday celebration going on somewhere this evening as well. So lots to do in Chiang Mai today. Obviously, sort of a bittersweet meeting. This last week was a real test for all of us, I think. Dave's passing was a surprise to all of us. He had been dealing with health issues. He was actually on the mend. His numbers were looking good, and his heart just decided it had enough. So it's sad, but we got through it. We are now trying to pick up the pieces. I'm not sure everyone realizes how many functions Dave did for the club. And now we are trying to sort those out, get them redistributed to other people. We'll be fine. We're gonna move on, and it'll be a little bit of an effort. And fortunately, we have some good people helping us out, and we will get there. But make no mistake, it's gonna hurt for a while. Not having Dave with us. So I decided he could get at least one more meeting. That picture, by the way, is a few years old, but it's still a good likeness of Dave, and it's an even better one of the puppy. So hopefully you can get his hand. By the way, there is a scrapbook out there that's Dave's scrapbook that Ella sent over, and some post-it notes. If anybody wants to put a little note on a post-it note and put it in that scrapbook, she would appreciate that. So it's out at the registration desk. We'll make it available after the meeting. There wasn't enough room to do it beforehand. So if anybody wants to do that, please feel free to do that. All right. We're going to get right into it today. Chocolate. Who doesn't like chocolate? Anybody here not like chocolate? We're all going to enjoy this. Okay. Neil Ransom is here. He's going to give us somewhat of an education on chocolate. Did you bring any samples? Oh gosh, he's got samples too. So this is going to be an even better morning than we thought. So anyway, let me introduce Neil Ransom. And Neil, it is all yours. Clip that on.
All right. Thank you, Elias, for inviting me to speak, and thank you, CEC, for having me. Can you hear? Okay, great. So I'm going to talk a little bit today about craft chocolate and this new trend of craft chocolate that's happening in Thailand, and give you a little bit of education on how chocolate is made from Thai cocoa beans, a little bit about the current situation for craft chocolate in Thailand, and then a little bit about my company, Siamaya Chocolate, that has been producing chocolate here in Chiang Mai for about 7 years now. And I'll leave a little bit of time at the end for any questions you guys have, and I'm a pretty open book, so any questions you want to ask. So to start, one thing I wanted to do is help distinguish the difference between industrial chocolate, what we call industrial chocolate, and craft or artisanal or bean-to-bar chocolate, which is what my company is. So globally, there are 3 cacao companies that process cacao into different cacao products that other chocolate companies make. OFI, Cargill, and Barry Callebaut. Cargill has a big factory in Malaysia and is using mostly beans from West Africa and Indonesia. These companies are supplying the vast majority of chocolate companies in the world. For example, Hershey's and Mars do not buy cocoa beans. They buy pre-processed cacao mass that they then make their chocolates from. The challenge or the issue with this kind of supply chain is that you have 3 companies that control 60% of all the cocoa beans globally. There is, as you've all probably seen in news over the last many years, there's some ethical and environmental concerns with cacao production. And in this type of supply chain, it is very difficult for consumers to pick chocolate that has been sourced ethically and sustainably. And so kind of in the last 20 years, a new type of chocolate business has emerged, which we call bean-to-bar chocolate. And it is kind of in reaction to this type of industry. So bean-to-bar chocolate is, there's no actual definition. It's not an industry standard term, but it's also synonymous with craft or artisanal chocolate. And what we're trying to communicate here with this term is that we control every part of the process from buying the cacao beans to making the finished products. There are also some who go a little step further and would call themselves tree to bar, where they're actually producing the cacao. They have their own farms. They're growing the cacao. And in Chiang Mai, in Thailand, we have a number of tree to bar producers as well. So our industry, we are controlling the entire process. So we select the beans that we're buying. We partner directly with cacao producers. In the case of Siamaya chocolate, we are buying almost 95% of our cacao from a co-op in Lampang called Nakorn Lampang Cacao Social Enterprise. And we've been working with Patom, who is the director there, for now 2 to 3 years on buying beans from them, growing our businesses together, making sure the quality meets the standards we have. Industrial chocolate is primarily concerned with volume and price. And so they are buying all grades of cacao beans and processing them and mixing them to make their chocolate. One of the secrets in chocolate making is if you have bad quality cocoa beans, you add vanilla to your chocolate to kind of hide the flavor. So in craft chocolate, we don't add vanilla because we are trying to have you taste the flavors of cacao, not mask bad flavors. So if you're looking at a chocolate bar in the store and you look on the back and it says it has vanilla or vanillin added, it's probably because they're buying medium grade cacao, trying to hide some flavors. One of the benefits of a craft chocolate company like mine is we can do very specialized and localized flavors and products, and our company is founded on making unique Thai-inspired flavors. We have some, which I'll explain a little bit. We have some curry flavors like khao soi. We have some fruit flavors like durian. You're going to get a couple samples and maybe get to try some. One of the other differences with craft chocolate and industrial chocolate is craft chocolate is a very fragmented industry. There are many, many producers. There is not a lot of like industrial chocolate. You kind of have 10 major chocolate companies that produce most of the chocolate in the world. Craft chocolate, you have thousands of small craft chocolate companies that are all working out their own niche market, and it's also quite competitive because of that as well. So cacao. I'm going to give you a little bit of overview of how cacao is grown, processed, and how we then turn it into chocolate. So cacao is the scientific name for cacao is Theobroma cacao. And if you, Theobroma means drink of the gods, and cacao is the it's the Spanish cognate for the Mayan word cacao, because cacao originally came from Central America. It actually came from the Amazon, and over the course of thousands of years migrated up to Central America, and it was really the ancient cultures in Central America, the Olmec, Mayan, and Aztec civilizations that really refined and developed the process of turning cacao into chocolate drinks, was primarily what they were using it for. Cacao comes in a million different colors. Almost every color in the color spectrum, you can have a cacao pod come, and they will almost always have some change of color. So you can see in this photo here, the cacao is changing from purple to kind of this aquamarine green, and you'll have these other darker purple cacao. In Thailand, our cacao is, the main variety of cacao being produced is called Chumpan 1. This variety was developed by the Thai government around the late 1980s, early 1990s, as an additional crop that farmers could plant, because cacao is a jungle tree. It likes to grow in the dark. And so the idea there with the Thai government was, let's create a variety that will grow with existing fruit trees. So you can plant it with your longan trees, and you add an extra source of revenue to your farm without needing additional land or to cut down your existing trees. So a lot of the cacao being produced right now in Thailand is being planted, we'd say intercropped with other fruit trees, longan, some mango I've seen, coconut, lychee, some of these other fruits. Chumpan variety is quite fruity, is the way that we would describe it. It has a little bit of acidity and fruit flavors in there. After the meeting, if you get a chance to come out and try our 70% dark chocolate, we've got some samples, you'll really experience this juicy cherry note that is distinctive to the way that we process this Thai cacao. Globally now, in the craft chocolate scene, Thai cacao is being perceived as quite unique and distinctive because of this very fruity note. And so the demand for, internationally, the demand for Thai cacao is outstripping what can be produced. This is one reason that has forced us as a company to really partner with local farmers, is to ensure that we have our supply before it gets exported. But yeah, some really exciting things happening with cacao in Thailand. Really what's happened since the 1980s is that cacao essentially disappeared in Thailand. There was no market for it. And it's only been in the last 10 years that people have become interested and there's more of a market for it. So our company, Siamaya Chocolate, was one of the first to start buying local cacao and turning it into chocolate bars. And so we've kind of been right at the forefront of this revolution in Thailand. All right, so processing. How is cacao turned into chocolate? So cacao is a evergreen tree. It produces these pods on the tree, as you can see in the top. These pods will produce year-round, but they do have kind of peak seasonality. In Thailand, at least in northern Thailand, most cacao is fruiting after the rainy season. So we will have peak harvest from October till about February. Cacao can handle a lot of extreme weather conditions, but it doesn't like change. So northern Thailand is not actually a great place to grow cacao, because during the dry season, we have this extreme temperature difference between night and day. Cacao doesn't like this. And also you have to irrigate cacao during the dry season in northern Thailand. In southern Thailand, Nakhon Si Thammarat, Phuket, these areas, you can kind of grow it year round. You don't need any additional water inputs, and the temperature stays much more stable there. So a cacao tree will produce thousands of flowers each year. They're very tiny flowers, so small that bees cannot pollinate. You actually need midges and fruit flies are what pollinates the cacao. Only about 100 flowers will turn into pods over the course of a year, and a tree will produce, a mature tree can produce about 100 kilos of pods, this fruit here. When you crack it open, inside you have these seeds that are coated with a fruit, like a pulp, almost has the taste almost like mangosteen. these seeds are scooped and put into a fermentation bucket, and we start a process of fermentation which digests that pulp around the seeds, and the process of doing that helps to kill the seeds so they can't germinate, and also develops some of the flavor. And so it's a two-phase fermentation. If you remember from your science class back in high school, when yeast digests sugars and starches, it turns it into alcohol. One of the byproducts is alcohol. So this first phase of fermentation is about creating alcohol, and then the second phase of fermentation is where bacteria, lactobacteria, will digest the alcohol and turn it into acetic acid, and that acid is what kills the bean and prevents it from germinating. Also adds to kind of the fruity note, the fruity character of some of the cacao. So this is the first phase. They will dump the seeds into wooden boxes or barrels and cover it with banana leaves, and the yeasts that are existing on the outside of the cacao pod and inside of the fermentation vessel and on the banana leaves is what will start the fermentation process. So you can see here that they're covering, this is Patom, our main producer. So he's buying cacao pods from many different farmers, about 30 to 40 different farms, but he does all the fermentation himself to ensure we have consistent quality. So he'll cover the seeds with banana leaves and leave it for about 2 days until he starts to smell alcohol. When he starts smelling alcohol and can measure high temperatures, he'll then do a anaerobic fermentation, which is happening here in number 5, where you're constantly mixing. Every day or every 2 days you mix the cacao, the mass of cacao beans, and introduce oxygen, and this allows the bacteria to convert all that alcohol to vinegar. And when I started getting involved in chocolate, I thought this fermentation process was very more scientific, and you could have a very clear set of guidelines to how to ferment. And as I have been in the industry a little bit more and seen fermentations happen, what I've realized is actually more like making sourdough, right? The best sourdough in the world is not made at factories. The best sourdough is made by sourdough experts who have learned how to make sourdough in their specific kitchen, right? They know how to read that starter, how to feed it, how to make sure that it is warm enough or moist enough, all those kind of things. So that's kind of the art of fermenting cacao, is understanding all of the conditions and how to adjust when things are going wrong. And it's going to be different for every single farm, every single location, because the natural yeasts in that region, the natural climate conditions are all going to be different. And so this is one of the challenges for Thai cacao farmers, is that you have to really learn to ferment your cacao in those specific conditions, and you can't really copy what someone else is doing, because it's all going to be a little bit different. So you have to be good at recording your temperatures, learning how to identify the smell of alcohol, learning how to do cut tests where you cut the beans open to check if it has the acid will kind of digest some of the inside of the beans and create fissure lines. So you have to be able to learn how to do all that and notice color changes. And so this is the big challenge for cacao farmers in Thailand. It's easier to sell your pods to someone else who knows what they're doing, but of course you make the least amount of money that way. And so we're really, and I'll talk a little bit about what we're doing in Thailand to try to encourage knowledge transfer and training to help farmers learn how to ferment so that they can add value to their product and get more money for their efforts. You can kind of see after it has fermented, the pulp kind of flakes off and is digested. And then the next step, of course, would be drying. So cacao is then laid out and dried. The art of drying cacao is almost as important as the art of fermenting cacao. And depending how you dry it will totally affect the flavor of the cacao. Also, if it's not done correctly, you run risks of mold and other issues. Northern Thailand, the strength of growing cacao in northern Thailand is it's a lot easier to dry here than in the south, because we do have our biggest harvest is in the dry season. We have a lot less issues of rain, and so you can really do sun drying at scale here, where in the south you do need greenhouses. If you're doing it at scale, you would need greenhouses where you can dry while it's still raining or where there's high humidity. After cacao is dried, we like it down to about 7% moisture, 6.5 to 7% moisture content. It's then hand sorted. It can be machine sorted, but Patom is trying to employ as many people as he can, and so he employs some elderly women in his community that can't find employment in other work, and they will do hand sorting of the cacao, which is great for us, and we pay a premium for this hand sorted cacao, and it's great for us because we don't need to sort it then ourselves. If we were buying lower grade cacao, we would need to sort in our facility, which of course adds cost. And this is Patom and I negotiating a deal, and we engage in what we call direct trade. So Patom and I sit in October every year and have some hot chocolate and chat about volume that we need for next year and the price that we're willing to play, and we agree on both of those things, and then because it's a friendly agreement, not legally binding, we adjust as we need to throughout the year. So this is all farmer's side to make cacao beans. The fermentation and drying process is critical to the quality of the cacao and the flavor that I can make from that cacao bean. So the way I think of it is what Patom is doing here, he is kind of adding flavor into these beans. 80% of the flavor that I get is his responsibility. The other 20% I do when I do my roasting process. So my first process of doing is roasting, which does three things for the cacao. It helps develop flavor. It changes from a much more nutty flavor to a much more chocolatey flavor. It also will remove the additional, that 6.5% moisture that's in the beans. It'll remove it out. And it will also help puff the shell, this kind of papery shell off the bean, which we then need to remove. So the second step after roasting is that we do a winnowing process. So winnowing, this is a machine made here in Thailand, and it was originally used for rice to remove the husk of rice grains, but they've modified it for cacao, and it crushes the cacao into pieces, and then a vacuum will suck the shell off, and what we're left with is cacao nib, which I'm sure you've seen at the market, is essentially crushed cacao bean. You can eat it like a snack. Cacao has almost no natural sugars in it. It's primarily protein and fiber and fat. It's about 50% fat, similar to a peanut. So the cacao nib for us is our raw material that we then use to make our chocolates. Cacao nib is about 50% fat and 50% solids. When a chocolate bar, we would call it a suspension of particles in fat. So basically we need to have enough fat to then suspend our sugar and cacao solids and milk if we're doing a milk chocolate. And so when I do my recipes, I think first, how much fat is in the cacao nib? What kind of chocolate am I making? How intense do I want it? And then in some cases, I may need to add some additional cacao fat, cocoa butter. So in that case, we have another producer just north of Chiang Mai that will buy lower grade beans because cacao fat has no flavor to it, so we can use a little bit lower grade beans. And so she will press the cocoa butter for us. And when we make milk chocolate, for example, we do need to add a little bit of extra fat to get that up enough for suspending the particles. And for chocolate, we kind of have two processes we need to do. And the first one is refining. So refining is where you're making all the particles, the cacao, the sugar, the milk, anything else you're throwing in there, coffee, if we throw some coffee in there. You want them all uniform, and you want them smaller than 25 microns, because this is where your tongue cannot distinguish texture. So if we can refine down below 25 microns, and we have a tool to measure that, then we know that the chocolate will taste smooth. It will have a nice mouthfeel. So that's one thing that we're doing. And then the second thing is called conching. And this is what Lindt, the founder of Lindt Chocolate, Mr. Lindt, I don't know his first name, what he invented was this process of conching, which is where you leave your grinder running for long periods of time, and it will evaporate out undesirable flavors. one of the great things about cacao is it is loaded with flavors, and many of these flavors are beneficial antioxidants and things. But some of those flavors are very bitter, and some of them are astringent, and sometimes you have very high acidity. So the conching, where we leave this stone grinder, we call a melanger. This stone grinder will spin for up to 72 hours, 3 days straight, and that's entirely to evaporate out these undesirable flavors. We can over-conch. I can make my chocolate taste like a Hershey's bar if I conch it for a week, and I'll evaporate out all of the bad flavors and all of the interesting ones as well. So for us, our art kind of comes in, how do we balance getting rid of the flavors we don't want and keeping all the stuff that Potom has worked hard to put into those beans. And so we have a couple different processes for different chocolates. Milk chocolate, milk is a strong flavor and will mask a lot of imperfections. And so milk chocolate, you don't need as precise, you don't need as good quality cacao. We buy all the same quality, so for us it's not the case, but milk chocolate doesn't need the same detail for producing because milk will mask some of the flavors of the cacao. Likewise, when you get very high percentages, 80% and above, the cacao is so intense that again, you're not tasting subtle flavors. So kind of milk chocolates and very, very dark chocolates, the need for precision and quality is not as important as it is for when we make a 70% dark chocolate. So a 70% dark chocolate, sugar, it has 30% sugar in it, right? Not great for your health, that sugar, but sugar will dilate your taste buds to receive flavor. And so this is where you're having maximum flavor from the cacao. So this, for us, is where we have to really focus on our production, is making sure that that 70% is using the best cacao, the roasting was done well, the winnowing was clean, we don't have shell in it, and we really check the refining process on that 70%. Again, chocolate, the fat in cocoa butter is a crystallizing fat, so it's a saturated fat that crystallizes at slightly above body temperature, but then melts at body temperature. This is why a chocolate bar is solid, but when you put it in your mouth, it will melt. So we have to temper the chocolate just like doing steel. We heat it up to melt all the crystals, cool it down, and then heat it up a little bit at the temperature that we want. Once it's crystallized, we can then mold it, add our flavoring. We then package it and hand wrap it. And of course, the final part would be enjoying the chocolate. And many of the processes that we're doing are the same processes industrial chocolate is doing, just at a much larger scale, although most of them are not buying cacao beans. Yeah. All right, so a little bit about Thailand's, the craft chocolate scene in Thailand. It is a very young industry. Siamaya chocolate is one of the oldest chocolate makers, and we are the very old, almost 7 years, 6.5 years old. Again, the Thai cacao has got this very unique character to it, this Chumpon 1 variety. And luckily for Thailand, this is the majority of cacao is this Chumpon 1 variety. And so we do have this distinctive flavor. There are other varieties, and there's one that was developed at Meizhou University called I Am 1 that has a very different flavor profile. This one is not produced as much as Chumpon 1. The other interesting thing is for craft chocolate, we have over 200 bean-to-bar chocolate makers in Thailand. Making chocolate is quite easy, and it's a very easy entry level. You can buy a stone melanger, like I showed you, a tabletop one, for $150 to $200, and you have a machine that can make chocolate as delicious as the chocolate I make with much more sophisticated equipment. The big challenge, though, of course, is scaling. So most of these 200 bean-to-bar chocolate makers in Thailand are very small scale. They might be more focused on having a cafe and using the chocolate in their cafe goods, and also selling a little bit of chocolate. As far as large-scale craft chocolate companies, there's probably about seven or eight right now in Thailand, and I'll explain that in a little bit. Also, Thailand consumers are very different from European Australian American consumers. Thais do not eat chocolate bars. It's too hot, and you can't impulse buy a big chocolate bar unless you're at the grocery store. Most of the chocolate consumed in Thailand is being consumed as beverages, as pastries, and as snack, what we would call candy bar. What's it called? Ferrero Rocher, those gold foil balls. That's the #1 selling chocolate in Thailand, followed by Kit Kat. Those are about 80% biscuit, 20% chocolate. Very different kind of product from what I'm making as chocolate bars. So a lot of the chocolate innovation and craft chocolate in Thailand is actually not in chocolate bar form, but in other products that are, because most of these producers are selling to friends and family, their local community, and at a Thai audience. But there is a big growing interest in local chocolate scene, and a lot of interesting developments have been happening over the last year or so in regards to that. One of the interesting, there's a chocolate maker in, so this is the interesting thing about chocolate, and when I talk to other chocolate makers in Thailand, this is what I tell them. One of the great things about chocolate versus coffee or tea is that you can do a million different things with chocolate and have a business out of it. You can have a business selling brownies, you can have a business selling bonbons, drinks, whatever. Where with coffee, really you're selling hot cups of coffee or iced coffee. And so this is the interesting thing about chocolate. We have an annual chocolate festival started by Jack from a company called Yellow Chocolate. And he's using local cacao, and his entire business is making a chocolate cake. One type of chocolate cake, and he'll do kind of art on top of the chocolate cake for birthdays and customize this kind of thing. And he has a whole business with about 12 employees making a chocolate cake with some Thai cacao. He has been at the forefront of organizing the movement in Thailand. He founded this Thai TCCF, Thai Craft Chocolate Festival, we've now been in our 4th year. And a group of us went to the Philippines for training on cacao fermentation, and I sponsored Patom for this in January. And during that time, we decided to found a trade association. So as of 2 weeks ago, we officially founded and launched a Thai trade association for cacao and chocolate, with the intention of turning Thailand into a destination, like a country of excellence for cacao, and making Thailand famous not only for its food and for a wonderful place to visit, but also for its chocolate and chocolate products. And also we now have some local producers of machinery too, and so we're setting ourselves up for a lot more development in the chocolate industry in the future. If you're interested, the TCCF, we're called TACO now, TACCO, which is not the direct acronym for the name. We've just launched, and so the website is still in development, but we do have different membership options, including a Friends of Thai Chocolate option, where you can get a little bit of, I think you get a free chocolate bar, or you get a chocolate bar every year, and it's a way to kind of support the industry. And there's a website there. Other interesting things happening in Thai chocolate is, of course, the innovations in other products. We have a lot of innovations in beverage, especially. Of course, there's bars and bonbons and other treats, and then some cosmetics that are being made with local cacao. The big difference, I think the big focus in Thailand right now is actually happening in chocolate drinks. We have a wonderful cafe here in Chiang Mai called Kom, which is Thai for bitter, Kom Chocolate, and she makes single origin sipping cacao from all over Thailand, and has this great cafe to try different types of specialty chocolate. The festival has a competition each year for the best chocorista, and we've got some really interesting drinks that are coming out of this. Also, cacao, the fruit on the cacao, the pulp, can be juiced, and there's a lot of interest happening around cacao juice in Thailand as well. And just a few little stats about Thailand. So we do have some industrial chocolate producers in Thailand. they are not using Thai cacao. They are importing cacao from, not beans, but mass from other regions of the world. Locally produced chocolate in Thailand. This is underestimating, but we had about 1.65 billion baht in sales last year from chocolate made in Thailand. And of that, 139 million baht was from the top 7 chocolate producers, representing about 9.2%. This is only 7 producers. I said there was 200 plus bean to bar producers, so it is not counting businesses that are not VAT registered yet, because I couldn't pull the data. So craft chocolate since 2019 has grown 10 times, whereas industrial producers has only grown about 2.2 times. So I think we were going to see a lot of interesting things happening in the future with craft chocolate industry. And I'll just spend the last 3 minutes talking about Siamaya chocolate. So some people ask us where the name comes from, and I don't do a very good job explaining it. I'll explain it as clearly as possible. So we decided to communicate the concept of our business, which is a fusion of Thai flavors with the history of chocolate. So Siam, of course, is the old world for Thailand, and the Maya were the first chocolate makers based in Mexico, Guatemala area. So we kind of combined the name as our way of saying we're fusing Thai flavors with the history of chocolate. We were founded in 2017. We have about just over 30 staff at the moment. And our current production is about 30,000 chocolate bars per month. We are the largest chocolate bar producer of both craft and industrial in Thailand. Every other chocolate bar is produced outside of Thailand. We're not the biggest chocolate company, and we are not the biggest chocolate bar sold, but we produce the most based in Thailand. And we hope to be able to produce about 50,000 per month by the end of the year. We've also received a number of international chocolate awards for some of our products, and we have some out for you guys to try after the meeting. Here's a picture of our staff, and Lily is joining us today. She's in our marketing and communications team, and we're continuing to grow and adapt and develop, and really trying to create a business structure that will allow us to scale, because I think we're really in a good position to grow into one of the major players in Thailand for chocolate. Our primary product is chocolate bars. We decided very early on that we would focus on one thing only, so that we could learn how to scale it and learn how to sell it. And so we focused on chocolate bars. 95% of all the chocolate we make goes into chocolate bars. We do make a few other products, some coated nuts and things, but we're not distributing this out very much, and we do some custom work for other people. Most of our sales are happening out of retail locations. So probably 60%, 70% of our sales are happening in wholesale and consignment. Our biggest customer being the duty-free shop at the airport, King Power. Our second biggest source of revenue at the moment is our 3 retail locations in Chiang Mai. We just opened a big red building on Taipei Road that many people were asking when we were building if it was going to be a post office or a fire station. So feel free to stop by there. We will be moving our office there next month, and we are continuing to tweak and adapt. We opened it there to have more visibility, because our previous shops were very hidden. And then, of course, we go to events and trade shows, and I do a couple trips to the US to sell chocolate, and we have done to Paris a couple of times in the past. And then finally, this is where you all come in. One of the other things that we love to do is collaborations. We've participated in events doing fondue and other things like TEDx. We've also had some artist collaborations where we've done chocolate bars with art on the chocolate bar wrapper. And of course, we can make customized chocolate bar packaging, and we've done that for a number of hotels in Chiang Mai. And then finally, for what's happening for us in the future, like I said, we are trying to be able to produce 50,000 chocolate bars per month. So we are currently in process of renovating half of our factory. We are bringing in a 500 kilo refining machine. We'll be the first craft chocolate company to have one of this size. It weighs 2 tons, so it took quite this was just installed on Tuesday. So our plan is to continue to grow. Right now, mainly our market is focused on tourists and expats and wealthy Thais in Bangkok. We plan in the next couple of years to transition to more of a Thai audience, which would be different price points, different sizes, and things like that. But I think we have a lot of opportunity to continue to grow in Thailand, and we're excited for what the future is going to hold. Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions for Neil? Any questions? I have one. I have two.
Sure.
Your factory here in Chiang Mai?
Yeah, so we have an old ice factory that we have renovated an old ice factory built in 1977 that we've renovated into our factory, and it's based in Wallai, just off of the Saturday night market street.
And the other one is, for the first time last year, I finally saw a pod in this grocery store, and I thought that was rather interesting. I had no idea what it was. There was no sign on that pod. So I bought one, and it turned out to be a cocoa pod. How do you know when they're ready to be opened and
Right. Yeah, so one of the things that cacao will do is change color. This was one of the indicators of ripeness. But if it changes 100% color, it's already too late and the seeds will have started to germinate. And so you're kind of looking for a pod that has 70% color change and 30% of the old color. That kind of indicates that it's ready to harvest. Yeah.
Anybody else? This is your chance to learn about chocolate. You said you got some samples outside.
Yeah, we've got some chocolate bar outside. Shane's. Oh, and there's a couple on the table. Yeah.
Yes, thank you very much for this. Really, it's not so much a question. We went round your factory and we have some nice bars at home. One thing that I would like you to explain to everybody is how you eat the chocolate. Everybody keeps the chocolate in the fridge and take it out. If you could like to explain how you should eat the chocolate and what temperature.
Sure, yeah. So there are a couple considerations. So first off, chocolate is best consumed at room temperature because it is a suspension of fat, particles and fat. At room temperature, it is a little softer and it will melt more easily, and it'll taste better if it's at room temperature. So eating cold chocolate, of course, I am a big proponent of everyone eating whatever they feel like eating. So if you like eating cold chocolate, great. If you want to really experience the full flavor of chocolate, you're going to want it to be at room temperature. One of the challenges with chocolate is cocoa butter loves to absorb flavor. And so this is one consideration when storing chocolate. You can store chocolate in the fridge. My recommendation is to store it in a Ziploc bag so that it will not pick up onion or cheese or other aromas. And when you want to eat it, break off what you plan to eat and let it warm up to room temperature if you can wait that long, while leaving the rest of the chocolate in the fridge. One thing that chocolate does not like is constant changes in temperature. When that happens, you get this white powdery bloom. We call it bloom. This is not mold. This is just cocoa butter that has come out of suspension, and you're seeing cocoa butter at the top. So to avoid that, you can keep the chocolate in the fridge, break off a couple squares, let that warm up to room temperature, and enjoy while leaving the rest at cold temperature.
Anybody else? Thank you very much.
Oh, my pleasure.
Fascinating.
Oh. There you go.
Thank you. We were going to have a quick little 5-minute education from one of our sponsors, but he got called away and unable to be here. So we're going to move on to the next thing. And actually, I'm not going to introduce our next speaker. I'm going to bring Rick Hahn up here to give you a little bit of an introduction into this new little program we're going through, and you can ask him any questions you want. Rick. Oh, here, you're going to need this.
Good morning, everybody. So today we're starting a new program that'll happen at each of these general meetings. We've dubbed it the Learning Series. And the idea is that we want to have this demographic, us, and we want to have a learning session every month to teach new skills that will actually add to the quality of our life, and you'll certainly understand that with our first speaker. But we've got one of these now planned for every month, so it'll just be another really great reason to come to these meetings. I can't think of a better person to start off this new program than Chris Smith to talk about artificial intelligence. So for those of you who do not know, Chris has been here a long time, and in fact, I actually was shown his membership card. His original membership card to the Chiang Mai Expats Club was so long ago that it actually had a membership number. So Chris's membership number is membership number 21. So that's how long Chris has been part of this group. Chris moderates the weekly Chiang Mai Geeks Club or group that gets together every Tuesday, and it has become kind of one of the few things of my week that I really refuse to schedule anything next to. We've got a couple of other Geeks Group members over here with Christine and Howard. Great group that talks about everything from computer stuff to phone applications to kind of whatever, but it's just a good group of fun, interesting people. Chris moderates that, and before he started doing that, he was about 6'8". Now he's been pounded down to about 6 feet tall. It is a tough job that he does to herd all these smart stray cats every week. But Chris became interested in AI about a year ago when it was really, really nascent, and has built up an incredible knowledge about the AI space and the apps, and he has introduced many of us to various of these apps during our Geeks meetings. So there's no one better to give us an introduction to AI, and so with that, I'll introduce Chris Smith, and I'm sure you'll enjoy his talk.
Does he need this? Do you need this, Chris?
More chocolate. Where shall I put it? This is the microphone for our photographer who's videoing the session, and I think he probably is one of these people that makes meetings run, but you never hear about them, just like Sean. I think it's worth giving him a round of applause. Okay, the suggestion was I was going to do something about birthdays, but apparently no birthday boy or girl would admit to it being their birthday. So forget the birthday bit. So this is the title. I have about 90 minutes of presentation. I have about 90 minutes, so a lot of it I'm going to miss. But what it might be useful for you is to help Rick determine what you're interested in, because there are some topics I'll flash past and not even mention, and you might think, oh, I'd like to know more about using technology for translation into Thai. I will mention it briefly, but will not do anything with it. But if that's of interest to you, using technology for translation, Thai, English, Thai, German, whatever, let Rick know about that to help him put the itinerary together for the next year, maybe. Okay. Okay, this question is for each table. I'm going to spend 2 minutes. I'm going to give you 2 minutes, and I want you on your table to decide 3 words that describe your table's understanding of artificial intelligence. Oh, I should make it clear. I forgot, AI, by the way, we are doing artificial intelligence here. We're not doing artificial insemination. So those people that thought they were coming for sort of a farming topic, that's another week, but I'm sure Rick could put artificial insemination on the agenda for a future learning experience. So I'm going to give you now, you're going to talk for 2 minutes with your table to decide 3 words about your table's understanding of I'm saying it, artificial intelligence. I nearly said insemination, artificial intelligence. So you've got 2 minutes now. Talk with your people. Wow. I didn't know it did that. I'm really curious to hear. This is not working, is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No. No, I think it's. One, two, three. 1, 2, 3. Okay. 3 words. Who's on this table?
Knowledge, disruptive, scary. intelligent, productive resource.
Intelligent, productive resource.
Danger, future, unemployment.
Danger, future, unemployment.
Intelligent, adaptive, transformative.
Now, these are pretty cerebral answers. For a Saturday morning, these are pretty deep answers.
Google on steroids.
I love it.
Rapid information processing.
These are a bit deep, these. Say that one again.
Rapid information processing.
Wow.
Scary. Hal. The machine.
Scary.
Hal. As in Space Odyssey.
Oh, 2001: A Space Odyssey. HAL.
Hal.
Do you know what HAL stands for? No, I don't either. But
Fast, intelligent, changing the world.
okay, 2 more tables.
So we got building, data search, and risk.
Saving your brain.
Sorry?
Saving your brain.
Saving the brain.
Try this. Information, transformation, and exclamation.
Poetic.
It's like an essay.
I want you to take out your phone. If you have a mobile phone, take it out. Put it on the table in front of you. Hang on this table down here, you know, my question was, have 3 words. I think this table here is cheating. I think they're asking AI, what would the 3 words be? Oh, I'm impressed. That's quite impressive, right? I'm not going to give any notes, but what I want you to do is feel free to take a photograph of the screen at any time, because I'm going to go through things quickly. And the best way for you to make notes, if you want to try something, take a picture of the screen. And that's the reason I asked you to take your phone out. Anybody, that picture, by the way, I made that photograph in about 5 seconds using AI. Anything wrong with it?
Yeah, my fingers are joined together. My fingers are definitely messed up.
AI has come a long way in the last, actually it's nearly 2 years in the public now. It's nearly 2 years old, so, but it's still making mistakes like this. And people have given that a special word. Anybody know the word? Hallucinations. If you're really sharp-eyed, I noticed that when I made it, I thought, oh, no, I don't like it. And I made it just using words. And I added 2 words. I said it should be smiling and it should be in a conference room rather than, I think it was in the street. What's wrong with that picture? How would you know it's created by AI? Anything wrong? Okay, let's move on. Actually, there isn't anything wrong with that picture, but it's a much nicer picture. But literally it took me seconds to make these pictures. Hands up if you... that's not a bad percentage. Keep going. Difference between Google and AI. Google, for searching, you put something in the search box, press a button, and you get a whole list of links to go to. It takes a long time. With AI, you put a whole load of things in a box and it gives you an answer. You don't have to go looking. I only read this last week. I noticed this. Some people are using the term search engines, which you probably use already. But for AI, I love this term. It's not my term. I stole it. It's not this answer engine. I think is rather good. And I'd love, if we had time, to be able to give lots of examples, but I'll give a few. Very quick example. This is my in-laws. My wife is Thai, you might guess from seeing the in-laws. But they're long dead. They're long dead. And this is one of the they lived in Sarapi. It's one of the very few photographs, and their generation, there were no videos, no phones, that we have of them. And you can put it into Photoshop if you're talented and tidy it up. With AI, in just a few seconds, I'm not going to spend much time on that. You could see what happened. A simple photograph like that. Coincidentally enough, me putting these graphics together last week, my niece, who actually I think is really a great niece, if we were to check the ages, but it's the first time she'd seen these grandparents moving like that. And her reaction, she's 10 years old, her reaction was actually magical. I'm not going to show you how to do it. These are just semantics, just words I want you to be aware of so you know what they stand for. LLMs, large language models. Most AIs are built on large language models. It's just computer code. It's about nearly 2 years ago when AI hit the public, around about October 2002. I just want to make you aware of the words. OpenAI was really the first company to produce a large language model, and ChatGPT is really the first platform that enabled you to use AI. I just want you to be aware of the words. You don't need any of that. This is just to show you what ChatGPT looks like. If you go to a web browser, take a photograph if you want to remember what that address is, don't be shy. And you go here, all you do down the bottom is you put in a query and it will give you an answer. I'm not going to use that one though. I'm going to use another one called Claude to give you a very quick demo. This is free. It's in a browser. Take a picture. The web address at the top is Claude, CLAUDE.ai. You can go home, do it at home on your laptop, on your desktop, or on your phone. I'm going to do a very quick demo. And this is what it looks like. I'm going to put a picture into Claude by clicking on something here, and then I'm going to ask it a question. This is going to be my question. This is my garden. Actually, it's my wife's garden. It's not my garden. I know nothing about it, but this is part of our garden, and I thought, what's this plant? Does anybody know what this plant is? One. Anybody else? Two. 2 hands went up on this, right? So if anybody needs any help with their gardens, with horticulture, this table down here and over there will help you out. But actually, Claude will help you out now. So I took this photograph, and I put the photograph into Claude, and you can see I'm on my iPad. And then along the top here, so it's putting the photograph in here. It'll take a little while. So it's put the photograph there already. And now I'm typing, what is this plant? And how can I keep it healthy? Okay? So this is much more or less real time. I think I might have stopped then just to have a, so it's now contacting Claude for free on my iPad in a browser, and this is the answer in real time. This is the answer in real time. I'm not speeding it up. So it's gone now because I moved on. But you saw how quickly it identified the plants, gave you details of the plants, and told you how to look after it. And that's amazing. Google will do that for you, but will send you to lots of links, and you'll spend quite a long time trying to sort it out. Other websites you could try if you want to. Take a picture if you want to remember this. I've chosen some free ones so you can try them. And you don't have to put a picture. You could just put a question there. Here's another one called Venice.ai. Take a picture if you need these. You can just put them in your web browser on your phone. You might have to sign up, but it should be free, which is a good point. At the moment on the internet, there's lots of places where you can access AI, and they will ask you for a monthly subscription. Don't go there. There's so many cons out now with AI. If you go somewhere and they ask you, this will cost you $10 a month, move on. Forget about it. Remember, take pictures if you want to record these. And this is another one which is actually done by Meta, which is the Facebook. Meta's Facebook, right? Deadly silence. Is this AI or is this real? AI or real? Put up your hand if you think it's real. We have a few computer geeks sitting at the table over there. If you think it's AI, put up your hand. Wow. Sorry, humans, you lost. It's for real. It's real. And the soundtrack, it makes some really interesting sounds. So your homework, I'm to homework. Your homework, and I'm only 5% into this, your homework is, if you want to try any of these out, put that picture into Claude and say, tell me where this bird lives. What's it called? What noises does it make? How do we look after it? But it's real, which surprised me as well. When I first saw it somewhere, I put my hand up on AI. Okay, quick one. So you saw the ladies with the iPhones, and one of them had the fingers stuck together, and they were made in seconds. This is a list of companies where you can do that. And the ones I've put stars next to, I recommend you try first. So you can go to a lot of these. Most of them are free or have a free option at the beginning. These are just the apps to do that, to change text to images on my iPad. Is this real or AI? You know, this was done by one of the members of our Chiang Mai Geeks Club on a Tuesday, called Stefan. And I have to admit, when I first looked at it, I thought, no, it's real. Of course It's okay, it's a couple of young Thai lads. And then you start to count the number of arms that they've got. There's the word we touched on earlier, hallucinations. That's an hallucination, but they're happening less and less. AI is less than 2 years old. It's still at kindergarten. It's still learning. These are just a few others. We've got a bear. These are all AI generated. A bear with a durian. I'm so sorry. I should have done chocolate. I should have, shouldn't I? I should have done chocolate. Should have done. Actually, my question at the beginning of this talk was, do you want to listen to me, or do you want to have the chocolate one again so that you get extra free chocolates, right? This is a hidden Chiang Mai expat club group that meets that meets once a week. Anyway, AI. This is another Chiang Mai expat club group that meets at weekends, but they take longer to recover. That photograph is just amazing. Doug, could you stand up for a second just so people can see you? Notice this guy. No, he doesn't look like that. No. He runs a photographic group in Chiang Mai that meets every 2 weeks, right? Monthly on a Tuesday morning. No. Okay. Photography is really strange. It's a real challenge because it's only a decade ago that photographers were told, we're not going to give you any more film. We're not going to sell any more film. You're going to go digital. Now, using AI, you've even got rid of the cameras. So just go to one of those websites, type in the words, and you'll get an image. There's actually a special term to keep in mind if you are typing in the words. They're called prompts. They're called prompts. And I'm only laughing because I've got the 5-minute thing there. I think that's a brilliant picture. I would ask you, there is some tell on this picture why it's AI, but I'm not going to ask you to look at it too closely. One of my favorites, I made this one a long time ago. All AI. And the nice thing with it, if you make a mistake, like I did at the beginning with the girl and the camera, you can just add extra words to the prompt or take words out. I had fun with my niece on this one, because on this one what you do is you actually draw on the screen. And I did this with her, and she said, I want to have a photo of a cat. So she types a photo of a cat down the bottom, and then she drew it on my iPad, and you press go, and the AI then made the photograph on the right-hand side. I had a wonderful morning with my 10-year-old niece doing this. We even did all-day English breakfast. This is one website I recommend you go to do text to graphics, because they also try and teach you as well and have a regular competition where you can look at what other people are doing and you can find out what did they write down to get their photographs. And also it's free, and if you look at them every day you get extra points. Here's another one by Meta. That's so realistic for me. It's just words that created that. Here's another one from Bing. Bing's Microsoft, right? Here's another one, it's free. www.bing.com/images/create. You can do it in your browser on your phone. Oh, the reason I've written the word DALL-E there is because DALL-E is actually is a special platform for doing this, made by OpenAI. Health. I had a message from the Chiang Mai Expat Club. No, I'm not going to do that. No, I've got these. Take a picture if you want these. I asked the one of the health AI platforms, I said, I want a health cure to look younger. And it gave me these. I said, there's too many for me to choose from. Choose one for me. I did this all with writing in text. And it came up with this one. I rather like that. So I nearly dressed like that for today. Sex. I was contacted by the Chiang Mai Expat Club. Don't talk about sex. I can't resist. So I said I would like you to show me what sperm looks like. Rick's giving me an ugly look here. So I got a picture of what sperm looks like. I never knew this. I think that's quite cute. For years I've been producing these apparently, so I'm not going to touch on this at all, text to sound, but if you are a person that has problems reading stuff, the text is too small, or you want your phone to talk to you while you're in the car or you're on a hike in the hills, what's here would help you, but I'm not going to touch it. Text to music, that's an option. Take a picture if you want to know options for that. I've put stars next to the ones I like. Suno is one I've used, and I've no time to show you how it works. But in one of those text to music, I took the first search I did, remember about the flower in the garden, I did the first search I did and said, make some music, female vocals, slow, melodic, mellow, dreamy, and then I copied what I had at the very beginning of this presentation. Is it here?
Song about the planet's Spanish mouse. 10 James months are actually a month.
Okay, you get the idea of the quality. The quality there.
An epiphytic flowering plant, it thrives in partial shade.
I've got other ones, but I'm not going to play them to you. If you have a family event coming up, somebody's got a birthday, and or you've got a christening, or there's a wedding, or a new granddaughter, and you want to do something different, you can. Let's say you've got a wedding coming up, a grandson wedding. You could do a song of really good quality, and all you do is you throw the words in, and you say, I want a Led Zeppelin song about, and you just put the words in, put the details of their family, and they will make a song just with the words of your family and the type of music you want. You want a ballad, you want blues. It's just amazing. All works in your browser. I'm getting into the looks. AI assistants, if you've not seen this film, anybody seen this film? Not so many of you. This is a good example of AI. It was science fiction, no longer science fiction. And all I'll say is, Rick, can you stand up for a second so people know who you are? Right, thank you. Rick, he's in love. He's in love with an AI assistant called Pi. And so have a chat with Rick and ask him if he'll introduce pi to you. And I'd love to do it now because it blows your mind, but not. So that's an AI assistant. I'm only sad that my mum died a few years ago and she lived alone. And if she'd had something like this, it would have been so realistic and so good for her mental health. There's pi. I'm not going to do this text to video. Speech to writing, I'm not going to do. I'm not going to do that either. Translation I think would be a really good one for the future. Robots, I'm not going to do. I'm not going to finish that one either because that shows you who's going to win, the robots or the humans. Spam, I've mentioned already, be careful. If you're being asked for money, the odds are it's spam.
Chris, because of time we shoot, so we're almost just 5 minutes left to trap, so we have the final update.
Right. Okay, I think I'll leave you with this one then. This slide I'll stop on. So we meet every Tuesday at the Chiang Mai Gymkhana Club, the Chiang Mai Geeks we call ourselves. There's a little table of them over there. Chiang Mai Geeks, can you put your hands up, please? Okay. I'm very much a facilitator because I learn quite a lot from these guys. And if you take a picture of that, it will take you to a website which tells you all the things that we do there. And we have line groups, so we have 24/7 conversations. And I'm going to finish off with something that Howard, put your hand up. Howard, I learn a lot from these guys.
I usually don't do personal public service announcements for individual friends, but when my friend Howard, who lives in Chiang Mai, Thailand, contacted me, how could I say no? I am personally endorsing the Chiang Mai Geeks Computer Club meeting every Tuesday from 1 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. Chris Smith, great job. Great.
To all the geeks in Chiang Mai, Thailand, I know of your geeks group and think it's brilliant, especially with Chris Smith at the helm. The signature of this group is when Howard says at the end of the meeting, another geeks meeting is in the can.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Chris.
No, use this one. Okay, now if you weren't excited enough, we have some visa news. Where is Nico? There he is, Nico. Oh. You have to speak right into that thing. It's not.
Hello everyone. I'm sure you all heard about the news and the change of the recent news about the visa, but fortunately it doesn't concern most of you who have like long-term visas and retirement, spouse, eventually business visas. So most of the changes and the new visas will impact tourists, and the reason I wanted to give you an update is you may have some friends or family that want to visit, or eventually family that always wanted to come to Thailand but didn't have the opportunity before because of that visa, because of the age requirements or maybe financial requirements. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. I'm going to be brief. So there is no 30-day visa exemption anymore. It's a 60-day for most of the Western countries. So 93 countries, the same as before, will get a 60-day visa right upon arrival, completely free. So there is no need to do an extra extension as before, where you got like 30-day, and then you needed to get a 30-day extension that eventually costed you time and money to get. Right now you get 60-day right away, and you still have the possibility to extend it for another 30 days. So it's a total of 90 days for tourists that would want to come to visit short term, right? Now for the VOA, which is for other countries like China and other countries that usually get a visa on arrival, this is still the same, it hasn't changed, but they extended the list to another 15 countries. All right, so there is now 31 countries that we can get that VOA visa where they have to pay for. So like Chinese citizens, when they come to Thailand, unlike most of the Western countries, they have to pay for their visa when they arrive at the airport. And now they extended that list to 31 countries. So like I said, all this doesn't really concern you directly or will not have a direct impact on your visa. Now, there is an interesting new visa, and that's what we have been, we've talked about this many times for the people that are nomads or digital workers or remote workers. And this is really a great visa for younger people that do not reach the age, the 50 years old age for retirement, but they still want to be able to come here long term without having to pay for an expensive elite visa or something else. So it's called the DTV. It's currently available to apply online. So this visa you must apply for before you come to Thailand. All right, it's available on most of the Thai embassy websites, even though now they kind of concentrate everything on one e-visa website where you will choose which country you apply from and which consulate you're going to choose. So it's a long-term visa, 5-year, all right? But you are only allowed to stay 180 days in the country, all right, per time, with a possibility of extending that visa at the local immigration or by going out of the country, coming back in to get another 180 days of visa, right? There is still a lot of unknown variables, like will you have to do a 90-day report on this? Will you have to prove every time you come back into the country if you still meet the requirements or what documents? But it's a great option for many people that are not 50 years old yet, maybe family, maybe friends that have been contacted you, wanted to come to Thailand in the past but didn't find the right visa in their situation. Well, here it is now. There is that DTV visa that is available. And for something that does concerns maybe some of you, it's a good news actually. In September this year, the Thai immigration and government will change again the insurance requirements for some of you who have the OA visa. If you remember, in 2021, they changed that. So for the OA visa application or extension, you were in need of a health insurance. And it was, the requirements were about 400,000 bahts inpatients and 40,000 baht outpatients. And it was changed in 2021 to 3 million baht coverage required for that visa. And they're going to change that back to 400,000 baht in September. So we don't know the exact date yet, but that's great news from many of you who have the OA visa. The insurance will probably be cheaper than what it is now. We'll see what the insurance companies will be providing, their new products, or if they're going to just go back to their old products. But this will definitely have an impact on the premium of the policy. So that's about it for the visa. I'm sure there will be more changes in the near future. Not so much like changes on the current visa, but like more information about especially the DTV visa and maybe extend the list of countries that will be entitled to those free visa on arrival or visa exemption, and we will communicate about that when the time comes. So This was brief, but if anyone has any question related to that, I can take some now. Otherwise, any question about your personal situation, about anything else, you can ask me at the table outside. All right, that will be all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, excuse me. Just a few quick announcements. First of all, anyone coming to the Route 66 open house later on today, just remember you have to Google a different name if you're trying to find it on a map. You Google Big Bike Touring Company. Okay, they share a wall. Same owner, both businesses. They share a wall. I was out there the other day. It's real easy to find, but right now, Google, Grab, they don't recognize Route 66 Diner. You'll get one down in Pattaya or Hangdong. But what you want to do is Big Bike Touring Company, not Big Bike Tours. Okay, that's a different company here in Chiang Mai. You want Big Bike Touring Company, and you'll get there. Okay? And by the way, Bolt recognizes Big Bike Touring Company. Google does not. So, excuse me, Grab does not. So you might have a little issue if you're grabbing there.
What are the hours again today?
5:30, 8:30. And by the way, it looked like a really nice place. So I think, looking forward to it tonight. The owner will be there, a chance to meet him and get to know him. And I think we'll probably end up doing other things with him in the future. They seem very interested in being a part of this. Okay. Upcoming events. We don't have anything formally planned. We are trying to put a social together for August. Those seem to be very popular. I'm going to go talk with Joe at Krusty's about going back there. They just do a wonderful job, and everybody really enjoyed it. In the last one, we had a full house, and everybody had a good time, and the food is great, and they never run out, and it's just a great time. So we'll try to put one of those together for August. We do have one new event booked solid now with definite date of November 2nd. And that is our annual picnic. We're going to do it out at Horizon. Don't have any other details as far as food and everything goes. We're starting to get the bids in on that. The balloon thing will be a part of it. We're trying to move the balloon part, for those of you who've been there, to closer to the lunchtime, just to vary up the thing and not have that be the last thing that everybody waits around for. The problem is balloons are very weather dependent. And if the weather cooperates, we'll be able to do it earlier in the day and everybody can enjoy that. If the weather doesn't cooperate, generally meaning that it's cool enough at noon rather than the 4 or 5 o'clock that we were going for before, because it takes a while to cool down if it's a warm day. So we'll just have to play it by ear. The plan is to have a little earlier, so that'll be fun. Other than that, nothing on the events calendar. I do want to mention that we have, we've never had a bigger need for people who want to lend a little bit of a hand now and then than we do right now. One of the areas that we need people on is our program committee. Program is the committee that puts these events on. They arrange for all the speakers, they organize the thing, and the program committee could use some help if anybody would like to lend a hand. It's not a great deal of time at all, but if you have any, especially if you have a good set of contacts in town or people that you know that would be interesting speakers, get a hold of Elias, see Elias. What's programs? Programs at? Programs at chiangmaiexpatclub.com, and he'll be sure to get back to you. The other thing we need is Robert, our videographer, is that what we call you? Videographer? Okay, he likes that. Is going to be gone for a couple months. So if anybody has the skill to do what he's doing, to record our meetings. We do not live stream them anymore, but we do record them, and they'll go on the website. If anybody can give us a hand for a month or two on that, please email us at info@chiangmaiexpatsclub.com. Or, well, let's tell you what, let's do that programs too, since that's part of this. So programs@chiangmaiexpatsclub.com if you can help out with the videoing of our general meeting. That'll be probably for the next two. So, okay. Thank you all for coming. I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend, whatever festivities you're doing, and we will see you in about a month.